Special thanks to all our patrons who support the show every single week. We couldn't do it without you. Head over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast and subscribe today for bonus content, exclusive happy hour live chats, and more. Patrons, you help keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we're so grateful for you. Not a patron yet? Join us today at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Help support the show by using our Amazon affiliate link anytime you shop on Amazon for running gear, food, beverages, or anything else the little gray trucks might bring your way. Just use runeatdrink.net/Amazon anytime you shop. It costs nothing extra. It's only one extra click, and it helps us keep the lights on and the bandwidth flowing. Just go to runeatdrink.net/Amazon, and we thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Ana, part of the Runcation Nation, and you're listening to Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country, and after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. It's time, Dana, for another Runcation Recap, and we are joined by, I feel like she's Insta-famous.
Insta-famous.
Oh,
Yes.
And one of our Runcation Nation members.
Yes. Ana runs on Coffee of Instagram Famous, joining us for a Runcation Recap. Welcome to our show, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. I don't know about all that, but I do create some chaos, and I do go way back with you guys. So,
well, it was amazing when I was. Which it was the Wine and Dine where we were doing the 5K and the 10K the first year it was back after the race. All the races were canceled and everything.
Yeah.
And the fact that we actually ran into you at the expo, I thought I needed to get an autograph because it was legit. It's
like she's real.
Yeah.
And she's here.
Yeah.
I wanted to run up and give a hug, but then I know we were all like doing massive stuff. I'm like, I don't want to freak them out, but I'm still going to come at them.
We're huggers.
Next time.
We're huggers. We don't care. So we were good. We were all there. It was good. We're so happy to have you on the show, and we're so happy to have another Runcation Recap.
Yeah, it's absolutely, for those that are listening that aren't aware, we've been doing these Runcation recaps because it's impossible for us to get to all the awesome races that are out there. We sadly have these things called day jobs.
Yeah.
They tend to get in the way.
We like them because...
Yeah, but it'd be nice if we didn't have to do all that. So we are relying on our Runcation Nation to some extent to help us broaden our horizons a little bit.
It's very true. And some of these races will be total dreams I'm a back of the packer. We're a back of the pack people. And it's good to know about should we actually get in via some kind of crazy chance or charity or lottery or what it's going to be like.
Right. Especially for some of the majors.
Yeah, this one I highly recommend. So I'll give you the spiel, but really it's propaganda to try to get you to do it yourselves.
Propaganda works. We're not immune to that. But before we even tell people which race we're talking about, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you're drinking, and anything else you can think of. Just to kind of give people a, hi, my name is.
Sounds good. I'm Ana. I live in the Chicago area. I'm originally from Brazil. I've been running since I was a little kid. Oh, can you see me still?
Oh, yeah. We got you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've been running since I was a little kid. My dad started running when my mom got pregnant with me because he was a smoker. And he wanted to stop smoking because he didn't want to smoke around the baby. And so he started running. So I grew up with my dad running my entire life. And I always joke that I saved his life because he stopped smoking and started running. But so from when I was a little kid, I would do the kids runs in his whatever races he was doing when it was available. And then in high school, that's when I started running for real. And I just never stopped.
And legitimately, what are you drinking as we chat tonight?
Oh, I forgot. I'm having coffee. I know it's 5:30 in the evening, but I can have coffee at 10 p.m. and then go to sleep. So
it's not decaf.
Oh no, it's full calf.
And for those who don't know, what you have spent your life in service to our country and also in service in the health profession. And we thank you for what you have done and are doing.
Oh, no, thank you. Yeah, no, I very much.
Can you hear it? Did you hear it?
I heard it. Yeah, no, I very much feel like nursing was kind of just a calling. And so I was a scientist before, and then it just migrated to nursing, and now I mix everything up and I do research in healthcare and take care of patients that way. So it's fun.
Very cool. Oh. Wow. Look at the big brain on Ana.
I love it.
I get called nerd a lot. So.
No, I'm going to tell you, my father was a math and science teacher for many years before he became a school administrator.
Yeah.
And I know he wishes that the genes would have translated across the generations to me. He would absolutely love you. So
yeah, those are definitely my favorite subjects growing up. I was all about the science and math and all of that. So it was fun.
And we need many more women like that. That's what I have to say. But maybe it'll rub off a little bit while we're talking. I don't know. Let's hope. So,
well, you run, so you automatically do math because don't we do math? I can't be the only one who does math the entire time.
I was going to say, I can calculate pace. I can calculate distance. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm just counting steps the entire time. Like, how much can I get in this interval if I do run walking? And you talked about your running history and how you got started running. Do you do intervals?
Not really.
No?
Not usually. I do it during dopey.
Smart. Very smart.
Yeah. Usually, so the last few years, because I've gotten to know more people within the Run Disney community, I tend to goof around a lot more on the course. And so I tend to spend a lot more time on the course. And so I usually do whatever intervals whoever I'm running with is doing, and that works. When I'm running by myself, the first dopey that I did, the first 3 races, I just ran my usual pace because I didn't want to stay on my feet for too long. And then for the full, I did intervals, but I feel like Jeff Galloway would be very upset with me because I just wing it.
I don't think so. I really don't, because he says, and I quote, "You are the captain of your own ship."
There you go. Yeah.
So,
well, the ship got to the finish, so it worked. But
there you go, and with no injury, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it was. I kind of would base it on where the water stops were, and I'm gonna walk through those anyway. So I would do that, and then just run and kind of take a walking break somewhere in there until I got to the next water stop or character.
Yeah, smart.
So no, not at all timed and like official, but it kept me from getting tired. So
well, there you go.
Yeah,
and that's the point of it, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
That's what he applauds, and running injury free.
I was gonna say, I think we could probably do an entire separate one of these when we start talking about Run Disney. However, that's not what you're here to talk with us about.
I know.
It's not
today. What race weekend is the must-do runcation destination race that you want to recap on the show with us this week, and why?
The New York City Marathon weekend, because it has been a dream of mine since I was in high school. When I first decided I was going to do a marathon with my dad, it was back. I'm old enough. I'm going to age myself. I'm old enough that there wasn't lotteries for all these races. I signed up for the New York City Marathon. I don't remember if that one had lottery or not, but I don't remember having to try very hard to get a bib. So I don't think so. And so I got a bib, but in high school, after I registered and everything, I found out that the state high school association, if I was running competitive for my team and I ran street races, I would disqualify myself. My coach said that I would disqualify the whole team, which wasn't quite right. And I don't know if it was misunderstanding between him and I. But at that point, we decided, okay, then a marathon will be later in life, but not while I'm competing. And so I remember writing an email to the race director of the New York City Marathon saying, thank you for getting me a bib, but I won't be able to compete because I'll disqualify my team. And so if you could please give my bib to somebody who can use it, I would really appreciate it. And the director actually wrote back and said, thank you for letting us know. I wish you good luck and I hope to see you in the future. And so maybe that was good karma because I got in through the lottery the very first try. So that's
Do you remember the name of that race director or no?
No, it was like it was what, 20 something years ago?
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
It's a couple of years ago.
Just the other day.
You could just on one hand.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's now. So you ran it in 2023. That's the race that you're November of 2023, right?
Correct.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So how did you get in?
Through the lottery. For New York City, there's several ways to get in. I actually wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. You can actually do a virtual run the year before. So you sign up to do it virtually, to do a marathon virtually through a time frame that they have of not pace wise. I don't mean that. You can walk the whole thing. You can drag yourself on the ground the whole way through. I don't think there's a time limit, but you can they open registration for the virtual run and there's only a few spots and you pay for the race twice because you pay to do the virtual race. Mm-hmm. They'll send you a medal. You have to track with Strava or something that you can submit and show that you ran the distance.
Makes sense.
And then that guarantees you a bib for the next year's race.
Oh.
So one of the girls that I ran with, Tara, actually, that's what she did. The year before, she ran it virtually. And then she had a bib for the next year.
I didn't know that. We're learning all sorts of stuff now.
That's actually awesome. That's a really good tip right there.
Yeah. So I wanted to do it that way. But I'm a softie and I need it to be an actual race with race support and water and stuff. I don't want to do 26.2 virtually on my own.
By yourself.
So I'm always trying to find a marathon that I can get to that falls within that window period. I think there was people last year or the year before, I forget, that one of the Disney race weekends, I think it was Wine and Dine. They did the half marathon and then they just basically kept moving for another half. And that's how they got their bib.
Whoa.
So that's one way to do it. There's speed. So kind of like Boston, but not really. So if there's a criteria, if you're fast enough, you can get a bib. But I think I didn't check, but I think it's even more aggressive perhaps than Boston because Boston, basically the majority of the field is that way, right? With New York, it's just a very small number of bibs that go to the super speedy. They have the 9+1, which basically means the year before you have to run 9 races that are organized by the New York Roadrunners Association. Plus, you have to volunteer for one. So that's where the 9+1 means.
Oh, okay.
And if you do that, you can get a bib for the following year. And then, of course, there's charity and international tours, aside from the lottery. And then the lotteries, the odds are not in your favor. It worked out for me. I was hoping to just start entering the lottery every year and then hopefully someday get in. Mm-hmm. But then I got in the first time. But this year, it was 4% of the people that applied through the lottery got in. So it's easier to get into Yale than get into the lottery for the New York City Marathon.
So it sounds like the virtual way is the way to go, but there are limited spaces to do that.
Yes, I think you have. So I didn't try it, so I can't speak from experience, but I believe you need to use up all your Run Disney registration skills.
Yes.
To get in there.
You have to be like the cat on the computer with the meme that's like, or like Jim Carrey and Bruce Almighty?
Right.
Like answering the prayers.
Yeah, no, competitive to do that. And then you still, of course, have to
run. And you have to make sure that you're, whatever you Strava or whatever you use to record it is working. Because Lord only knows if you don't do the,
And Strava loves to cut it short a little bit. So definitely go more than 26.2, maybe 26.3 or 4.
But they'll accept, but I think that there's probably a list of what they will accept, like Garmin or Strava or.
Oh, yeah. There's a whole page on like their website that's cool. Goes through all the rules and all of that.
So they're not going to accept Dana's runtrackingapp.com. Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. It does sound pretty legit, but so that's one of the challenges for me. Most of the time I train on the treadmill. And so I would have to be outside and run that distance. And I would rather find a race. Like I would rather find an actual marathon and do it. There was one year that he lined up with the Chicago Marathon, but I wasn't registered for the virtual. But it's usually just outside the window.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would certainly rather do that than do 26 miles on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But you train on the treadmill.
On the treadmill.
20?
I've done 20. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you train on the treadmill versus outside. Mm-hmm. Is that just like a weather kind of thing, or?
In part for the weather and just safety, and I've been chased by a lot of dogs. Yeah, but also we got the treadmill during the pandemic. It was my sanity. When everyone was stuck at home, I was never home. I was stuck in the hospital. And so I would come home in the middle of the night, and I would have a few hours where I could shower, get some sort of workout in, and then go to sleep and go back to the hospital. And so having the treadmill here, it didn't matter if it was 11 p.m., midnight, or 5 a.m. I could run and be comfortable. And then it just kept me sane, because if I don't run for too many days, I get very grumpy. So it was the sake of humanity, really.
You're really doing it for others.
Yes. It's really one of the many services I provide to society.
It's safety. It's safety also.
So, so you opted for the lottery and were able to get in first time, bang.
Nice.
And remember, 96% of the people who tried that did not succeed.
She's
everyone.
The 4%. She could get into Yale.
Rare 4%. Let's talk about some other requirements. Do you recall what the race entry fee looked like, or pace requirements or anything?
If you're a member of the New York Roadrunners Association, it's $255 to register for the marathon. Okay. If you're not a New York Roadrunners member, then it's $295. But I remember when I was registering that the membership was around $40. So as I was registering, I signed up for the New York Roadrunners Association because the price basically ended up being the same. But I figured if there's going to be any perks for the members, I want them. So I did it that way.
Would make sense.
Yeah. And then, so for any of the majors, you have to have a certain time to be able to earn a star. So if you're trying to get the 6 stars, which will probably change to 7 soon, because I think Australia may end up getting added, but I digress. So there's the 6 stars if you complete the world majors, and then there's a time limit that's specific for each race. For New York City, you have to finish under 6:30, which I think they end up saying 6:31. So if you do 6 hours, 30 minutes, and however many seconds, you'd still get your star. The cool thing about New York is that they keep the finish line up for a long time after that. Because most races, once you hit the time limit, they start breaking everything down. With New York, my goal was just to finish under the 6.5 hours, because my only goal was to get the star. But we finished we walked from the finish line to the hotel, which was about a mile or so, if I remember it correctly. And then the three of us were sharing a room. So each of us took turns taking showers. And then we changed, went downstairs for dinner. When we came back upstairs, we were looking up online and saw that the last finisher had just finished. So it was hours where past the 6.5 hours and there's a group of people that actually signs up and shows up to go cheer for the last finishers. So there's a huge crowd that shows up. There's a lot of cheering. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
Are there pace groups for making those certain times that you saw?
Like pacers? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't run with the pacers because I feel like I lose I lose the ability to listen to what my body needs me to do as far as adjusting my pace and that sort of thing. And I just like it's a head game thing for me where I need to feel like I'm the one controlling my pace, regardless of how fast or slow it ends up being for different races. But they have pace groups. The majors, usually they have at the expo somewhere, usually the pacer booth, you can get tattoos where like you choose which time you're going to finish at. And then you tattoo that to your arm. And then it has all the miles and the pace that like the time that needs to be. So that even if your GPS gets crazy because of buildings or anything like that, as you pass the mile marker, you can look at your watch and know if you're going to meet your target or not. I have actual bracelets with the paces. So I don't put the tattoo on, but I have bracelets so that I don't have to do the math. I just look it up.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes it easy. So your goal was just to finish in 6:30, but it seems like they're pretty generous and
yeah,
that's amazing.
And I started in the very back of the last group. Like, I think we were the last group to go. So, especially if you start in one of the earlier corrals, because they only consider your pace based on previous races that are done by the New York Roadrunners Association.
That makes sense.
Or if you don't have one, it will be based on what your estimated time is when you register. So the people who have done their races before, they have an official time that they use. But if you've never done one before, it's whatever you think you're going to do it at. But yeah, it was really fun.
So this guy is bling driven, of course. And
it's true.
How do they change the medal from year to year, or what is the do?
They do. I have it. Theirs is it's gold.
Oh.
And there was one year that sorry, the lighting is not good, but there was one year that it was like an apple-shaped one. I think it was the 50th anniversary that was apple-shaped. So I'm a little salty I didn't get that one, but this one's pretty cool too.
Yeah,
it has the boroughs written on there where you run through. The majors are typically, they don't usually put a lot of effort into the medals, I feel like, compared to other races, because they already have so many people killing themselves to try to get in that they don't have to try that hard with the medals. And there's other races, that's one of the way that they get people to sign up. So then you end up with the huge medals full of details and colors and cool stuff. The majors, you don't usually do that, but they are usually nice. So I like it. It's gold and shiny.
And it's a symbol of that. Are you going for all of the majors?
It's not something that I am actively pursuing right now, because my main goal right now is to get my kids through college, and that costs a lot of money.
Yes.
But I would like to do it someday.
Costs a lot of money. What are you talking about? Running is a cheap and inexpensive hobby.
College.
Oh, I know.
Did you? Oh my God. Okay.
But running is practically free.
Yeah, it's basically just a pair of shoes, right? That's all there is.
By comparison to a college education.
Yeah. So my plan A is for my husband to figure out a way to get rich so that I can just do races all the time. But plan B is wait until the kids finish college.
I like plan A.
I know.
I'm just saying.
I need him to get on board.
Plan A sounds good, but I might lean on plan B a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Just
yeah,
saying.
that's okay. That's the plan that we're going with so far.
I mean,
a girl can dream.
Whatever. And if you saw if you are watching the replay and you saw the bling, it's also in the episode artwork.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, there you go.
So don't worry. Don't worry.
But it's shiny. It's got the logo of the race and the burls that you run through. So it's fun.
That is very cool.
Yay.
Now, is there a charity or a cause attached to the race weekend?
There's a ton of charity partners through them that you can get bibs through. I want to say Team for Kids is the one that is their biggest partner because you get perks. I think if you go through them, like I think you get corral bump. I think there are certain perks with them. But I don't know.
That's a pretty good perk, actually.
Yeah.
If you're like us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there might be like a VIP tent because the whole, like, it's a day-long event because the race doesn't start as early as most races do because it's televised. And so they want to make sure that to get the commercials and all of that, that it doesn't start too early because you need an audience. And so if you're starting towards the end, like I started, I want to say around lunchtime, get up early and it's a point-to-point race. So then you have to get to the start. And then we just brought all sorts of camping stuff to just hang out for several hours.
Wow. And you do have to get, even if I'm getting ahead of myself, right? Because
maybe
a little bit.
But the charity does have. So my point was to get back on it. I know I'm the one that is going off on a tangent. But the certain charities like Team for Kids. I hope I'm saying it right. I'm pretty sure it's Team for Kids. They have a tent at the start area where they have stuff for the runners.
So smart.
So,
Yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit about race prep.
Before we go there, you said you went a little crazy at the expo.
Oh yeah, you've shown us the bling, but there's also merch.
Yeah.
Yes. So when it comes to the majors, I'm used to Chicago because that's my home race that I try to do every year. And they have a big expo. It's an expo comparable to Run Disney, I would say, as far as size and all of that. But New York City is on a whole other level. They start selling official race merch weeks and weeks before the race weekend. And for me, the expo starts on a Thursday, and then you have Friday and Saturday technically to go to the expo. And I was arriving on Friday and I was afraid, okay, everything's going to sell out on Thursday. And it's my first time running New York. I'm going to want all the things. So I actually ordered stuff before it was even the month of the race.
Like I would do that.
Yeah, so I would, as the great Michael Scott said, I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. So I bought the stuff. It arrived. I kept it wrapped and closed. I just made sure it fit, and then I put it away. I figured I'll either earn it and wear it after the race, or I'll
put it on eBay,
return it. Yeah. So yeah, I have New Balance doesn't mess around. They have way more stuff than we have in Chicago. So I'm wearing like a cotton shirt that they have. That was the finisher shirt. They have like legit winter gear. So
like sweatshirts and
like this is warm. The shirt that I'm holding is thick. Like you can run with just this when it's snowing out and you're plenty warm. It has pockets. It has the New Balance logo, and then it has the New York City Marathon logo.
And it looks red.
And for those that are just listening to this episode, go hop over at your convenience if you want to see all the merch.
Yeah.
Hop over to the YouTube version of this episode and you'll be able to see all of this.
Yeah.
So then they have jackets. So I bought the official jacket online months before the race. And so it's like a windbreaker. It's thin.
Oh, it has
the logo.
Reflective stripes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's reflective, and it has the logo in the back as well. But then they also, during the race weekend, I bought the finisher one. But I think even this one was available online ahead of time too. But this one I waited. And so it's also reflective. It's windbreaker. They have men's and women's cuts. They had a coffee mug because I can't pass up on coffee mugs. So of course, I have one. But being from the cold, I know that you guys are in Florida. You probably wouldn't need this unless it's for the actual race. But like they have ear warmers with the logo. They had hats. They had backpack. I forgot I bought a backpack too. It's upstairs somewhere. But they had gloves. And then they have, this is pretty traditional for them. Every year they tend to have the gloves with each of the burls on the fingers.
Oh, that's cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So see, reasonable. I didn't buy that much.
We've done the same thing at Run Disney.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Although it sounds like
is tradition. I don't know if you guys have seen this. This is the Duncan hat. And this is tradition. Like you want to get to the start area early because they can run out of these. But every year, so Duncan has trucks in the Staten Island area where the races it starts, and they have a bunch of hats because if you're cold, then you can just wear it. I actually had an extra safety pin on my clothes just so I can pin this to me because it was too warm for me to wear it, but I wanted to keep it. So they put the race year and they have the little logo for the race, and it's always pink and orange Dunkin' colors. So that's cool.
Like Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Coffee related.
Now, are they giving out coffee and or donuts in addition to these hats?
So they had coffee and they had bagels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it was
probably figuring a bagel would be a better option for a marathoner than maybe handing them a jelly or a glazed while they're in the corral.
Can you imagine?
Can I imagine? She says that to me, and every time I run Jeff Galloway's race, I stop in at Krispy Kreme at mile 1, grab a bunch, and then hand them out on the course.
It's true.
And it's a mess. It's a sticky mess.
It would be sticky. So
worth it.
I would just say, I wish that somebody from Run Disney would look at this and go, oh, maybe we could do that whole selling of merchandise thing ahead of time that the New York City Marathon does. If only Disney knew how to sell things.
They do have some pre-race offerings during registration, but here is the thing about that. And I don't know how you feel about this, being also passionate about Run Disney races, is it's during the registration process when you feel the most stress.
When their servers have all the extra bandwidth.
I definitely. So even when I pre-purchase things with them, because like one of the things that I always try to get from them is the little shoe ornament.
Yes.
And so those, like I collect those. I don't want to risk it being sold out, so I always want to get it. But I register first. Once registration is completely done and the craziness has gone away, then I go into my account.
Then I
shop. But I can't shop for any of the shirts or jackets because I never know how they're going to fit.
That is true.
The same race weekend, I usually buy stuff that's medium, large, extra large, just depends on what I'm getting. So Princess Weekend, I bought medium, large, and extra large things. All women's cuts. And so with New York City, because it was New Balance, I just tried on ahead of time New Balance stuff, and then their sizing is consistent enough.
That is smart.
So when I went to order, I knew what size to order.
I was going to ask you if it was true to size, but it's true to New Balance size, and that's so smart.
Yeah. So just go to a running store, try on New Balance stuff, and then you'll know your size, and then you can shop like a crazy person because you'll know that it will fit.
Because it's always New Balance. So
yes. Yeah. It's the sponsor.
Okay.
Smart.
Yeah. It's always Nike in Chicago. It's always New Balance there. So you just need to know the brand.
That's a pro tip right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So now I think we've talked about the expo and how it's crazy, and
you can pre-order some merch.
You pre-order some merch, but you probably have, during bib pickup, you probably just have, I don't know, I get sensory overload at Run Disney expos. But do you, what was the general feeling? And do you have any tips for that before we move away from that?
Yeah. So another thing that I thought New York City did very well is that they get some of that anxiety and some of the things that you may forget to think about taken care of before you ever leave your house. So weeks in advance, I picked what time I was going to be at the expo and what day. So you select the date, and I think it was like a 4-hour window for you to arrive at the expo. So I picked Friday afternoon because I knew I was going to arrive Friday morning, and then I had plenty of time to eat something and then go to the expo. Ahead of time, before the expo and all of that, you also pick which mode of transportation you're going to use to get to the start of the race and whether or not you're going to have gear check. So all of that stuff is taken care of. So when you arrive at the expo and you're all excited, of course, and you have all the jitters and all of that, they had the first thing that you go through, they check to see that you're within your time frame. And then you go and get your bib. And they usually offer a shakeout run the day before. It's usually a 5K. So I signed up for the 5K the day before on Saturday. So I picked up the bib for that and a hat. It's just a blue hat that says Abbott dash to the finish. They don't have a medal for this race, but I highly recommend it. It's still pretty fun. So then you get your bib, and then you get the bib for the actual marathon. And then you pick up your shirt, and then there's only one way to go. And that way is through the official merchandise area. And then once you go through the official merchandise area, it spits you out into all the other vendors. And then you can either leave, or you can do what we did and spend hours in there taking pictures and yeah.
Right.
But you don't forget the other stuff. You know how Disney, you have to go to a certain building for your shirt, a certain building for your bib.
Yep.
You always go to the merchandise first because you're afraid it's going to sell out. They made sure you get your bib and your shirt before you ever get to the merchandise. So there's no forgetting to do those things.
That's good.
It's like they've done this once or twice.
Or like many years. A double digit. I don't know. Okay.
No, it's a very organized, oiled machine, which is why I like the big races. The majors do it very, very well.
So what was it like doing pre-race prep for you? I know you said you did the shakeout run and the actual marathon was Sunday. So you had an expo day on Friday, and then you had the kind of the 5K shakeout on Saturday, and then the race on Sunday.
Yeah, we kept, so all the three girls that took this on together, and we were all in the same room, we're all Run Disney people. And so we just kept reminding ourselves it's okay to be on our feet for some time, because we usually do dopey and we go to the parks every day. So we're going to be okay because we still wanted to see the city and go to a few places. And so we did a little bit of that. We actually walked from our hotel. I forget where we ate. I think we ate somewhere near the expo, but we walked from our hotel to the expo, which wasn't that close. I think it was more than a mile. And then after the expo, because we had been on our feet for so long and had done so, it had been hours. Then we took an Uber back.
Yes.
And then on Saturday, we did the 5K. And then after the 5K, we just enjoyed the city for a while. But we had all of our stuff set up and ready to go first. We already brought our nutrition, all our clothes, everything organized anyway. But we made sure bibs were pinned on clothes. Everything was ready to go. And there's a lot of prep that goes into the race morning itself that I'm not used to. I usually eat my typical before race meal, and then I go to the race. And then that a few hours, maybe at the most, a couple of hours, then the race starts and we get going. But we woke up, I want to say before 5 o'clock, maybe around 5 a.m. And then our bus was around 6 at the latest, and it may have been closer to 5 than 6. Then it takes about an hour to get to the start in Staten Island. And the whole time you're on the bus, because we took the bus, you can take the bus or you can take like subway to the ferry. You take the ferry, and then once you get off the ferry, I think you still have to do a little bit of a bus journey to the Staten Island actual start area. We just took the bus, and the bus is offered very early only. If you do the ferry, you can leave later. But I was afraid that we were going to get on the ferry and not have sitting room, and I didn't want to be on my feet. So you get the nice views from the ferry. It's beautiful, but my mission was be off my feet until the start gun. So we took
another
the bus,
pro tip here.
Yeah. So we took the bus. I was actually in line for the bus. I was laying down on the ground, like totally horizontal. I was like, I'm not standing. And then we got on the bus, and it takes an hour. And the whole time you're going, I'm going to have to run all of this back because we're going from the finish to the start. But then it was hours once we got there. So we each had bags with blankets, ponchos, bagels, like all sorts of things to make sure that we were going to be warm and dry and well fed for hours before the race even started. Wow. We camped.
You camped, yeah. And you said you opt in for gear check. Did you opt in for gear check?
I didn't. We knew that because we were starting at the very last group that we were going to finish. It was going to be a long day. And when we were finishing that race, we were going to get a poncho. Everyone gets a poncho. It's a nice poncho too. It's not like the cheap, flimsy plastic ones that you get and toss at races. It's a very thick material, and it has like a blanket kind of on the inside, so it keeps you warm and dry.
Nice.
And they have all the finish line goodies of like food and drinks already in bags. So when you come out, they have all the nutrition and hydration you could possibly think of. Plus they have the poncho. I was like, I'm not going to need anything else. I'm just going to put the poncho on, get my bag, and start walking to the hotel, because it was you finish a marathon and then you walk a mile to the hotel. We could have taken an Uber, but we just walked. We decided it was our cool down. So we ended up not feeling like we were going to need anything at the finish. And I really didn't feel like I needed anything.
That was good.
So I didn't gear check.
And that kind of begs the question. You made mention of it in terms of lodging.
Yeah.
Any recommendations on where to stay, where you chose to stay, and
yeah.
why?
So people tend to divide themselves up. There's people that prefer to switch hotels. And so basically the night before the race, they'll stay in the Staten Island area, because then you're very close to the start. And then after you finish the race, you end up in Manhattan in a hotel there. I think that works best if you're with somebody who's not running, because then they can check out and take all your stuff to the next hotel.
Another pro tip.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We wanted to just be in Manhattan so we could visit and go sightseeing and all of that in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So we stayed at the Hilton Midtown. But there's a ton of hotels near the Central Park area, and the race ends in Central Park. So if you get any hotel near that area within walking distance, you're good. We chose the Hilton Midtown because that's where all the elites stay. And so you get to see them and geek out. And so I met Meb and it was so fun.
We know that
first
guy.
Time. Yeah. See, you guys go all the way back with
my God.
Exactly. So Tara hadn't gotten there yet. It was Tara and Susanna who I was with, and Susanna was next to me, poor soul. I see Meb on the corner of my eye and I go, Susanna, it's him. And I go to tap her on her shoulder, but I'm very excited and I punch her harder than I thought I did. So we were joking the rest of the weekend that if we saw anybody else that I was going to knock them out, and they just kept their distance from me. Yeah, so we ended up seeing him a couple of times, got pictures. It was fun. He's super nice. But it's just fun. If you're into geeking out when you see the elite, that's the place to,
how can you
to
not
hang
be?
out at.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's, again, you've got all these little nuggets here.
Yes.
This is really good stuff.
I love it.
Knowing that's like, that would be the obvious choice for hotel.
But yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and it was still an easy walk to everywhere we wanted to go to. So it's pretty good.
So you just had to put up with a mile after the race.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, you're in such a high because you just finished that and you're so excited. And it's a sea of the ponchos. They're everywhere.
Okay.
Because it's 50,000 runners.
Sure.
And we're all finishing and making our ways back to our hotels. And so obviously when you finish, like this last year, the ponchos were orange. Sometimes they change it to blue. And so I don't know what color it's going to be this year, but it was orange last year, this bright orange. And when you finish, obviously everyone's getting the poncho. And then I kept thinking, okay, the closer we get to our hotel, the less ponchos we're going to see, but there was still a ton. And it was just so cool to see all these people finishing. And we weren't running for time. We weren't going fast. You know what I mean? Like we were just trying to finish. Yeah, it was fun.
So I'm just like all of the tips and the things and the people that you were like you saw Meb, and I'm guessing because this is New York City and this was like a bucket list moment for you that you decided to not run in costume.
No, I didn't. But that's why the 5K was important.
Oh,
so it was. I don't mess around too much with costumes and everything for full marathons because I want to be comfortable. I want to enjoy the experience. I don't want to be messing with clothes. So for the marathon, we had matching outfits, but they were like legit. What's comfortable? What do we like to run in? So we had broad threads tanks with our names on it, and it was New York themed. It had 26.2 on it. And then we had skirts from Boulder Athletics, just because they have pockets and they have the shorts already in there.
So good.
And we could stuff food everywhere. There was a lot of nutrition in our pockets. But the 5K, we're like, okay, we've got to do this right. We're running in New York and we're together and we're having a girly weekend. And so we're going breakfast at Tiffany's. So we had I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Dottie skirts that have the bow and all the sparkles and everything. So it was all black. We had black shirts. We got the Goodr sunglasses that are actually themed for breakfast at Tiffany's. I forget what the name is of the model, but it's black and it's the perfect shape.
Aww.
They have the best names for their sunglasses.
Oh,
they do.
Yeah, and that one is actually named for breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yep, not a sponsor, but they should be.
They could be though.
Yeah, I know, right? And then we had pearl necklaces, and we found Tiffany blue running shoes, which we were like, I don't even care if it fits right or not. It's a 5K. We're doing it for fun. We're wearing Tiffany blue shoes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we had other runners during the race asking to take pictures with us, and it was just fun. And after we finished, and then we walked over to the Tiffany store on Fifth Avenue, and we're like, we have to take pictures here. And of course, they have the security guards. And I just looked at him and I go, we're about to act like a fool. And we're going to be taking a lot of ridiculous pictures because this just needs to be part of our experience. He goes, do you want me to take the picture? So the security guard from Tiffany took our pictures.
And you have this picture. It might be on you might have posted it on your Instagram.
Yeah, it's definitely on Instagram. We had fun. We're excited about that outfit than the actual full marathon outfit.
Well, sure, because you get to have some fun there when you're, and what you're saying makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Costume running is great for shorter distances up to a half. Beyond that, now you're talking about real issues that can cause you chafing, blisters, bleeding. They could present some serious challenges at those larger distances. So I totally get that. I wanted to go back on one thing that you'd mentioned before, and it was a passing comment that you made about you could have taken an Uber.
Oh, yeah.
Generally, when you're there for the race, what was your preferred mode of transportation? I know every time we've gone to New York, it's plenty of taxis. You can certainly, but any recommendations or?
I don't think you can go wrong. There's so many different options. I took an Uber to and from LaGuardia to the hotel, and then that was it. My main mode of transportation for 99% of what we did and where we went was just our feet. We walked everywhere. Everything, because we stayed in a pretty well located hotel. I never felt like we were far away from anything. So we just walked everywhere. We walked slow. It helped keep the muscles loose. You don't want to overdo it, but it was an option to walk everywhere. They do have, I think they're called, and I don't remember how to pronounce it, but it's pedicab. It's like the bikes with the little cart that they pull.
Yeah, like a rickshaw.
Yeah. So after the expo, when we had our bags and we shopped too much and we're just like, okay, I don't really want to walk with all this stuff, so let's get an Uber. And the guy overheard us, and they're all lined up at the exit of the expo. They're like, we'll pedal you to your hotel. Just get on the bike, it'll be fun. I was like, okay, it'll be fun, but there's 3 of us and I'm not small. He's like, oh no, it's motor powered anyway. It'll be fine. I can do it. Oh my God. So I was like, okay, but how much is it? And they always ask, by the way, if you're going to go fund transportation, ask how much it's going to be ahead of time. And they charge per minute, like per time, not per distance. I go, I'm not going to trust New York traffic and you knowing that I'm a tourist and I don't know the shortest way to get to my hotel. Like, no, I want a set price. He goes, I can't give you an exact price. I go, I need you to give me a ballpark if you want me to get on this bike. And, and it was going to be like about $100 is what he estimated, which I'm guessing would probably be a little bit more. I'm like, no, I'll take an Uber. It's all good. But it would have been really fun. And we did think about doing it once we finished the race, from the finish line to our hotel. But we felt like we just wanted to walk and loosen up the legs. Oh yeah, because if you stop, we saw a ton of people keeping those bikers busy.
Really?
After the race. Yeah. It's awesome. It's fun. It's a fun experience. We didn't do it because we wanted to keep moving, but I think it would have been fun.
You totally want to keep moving. And and I have breakfast run to Tiffany's. Are those the glass?
Is that yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The black, and they're like cat shaped or whatever, and then they have the little gold. Yeah.
Yes. So they're still there, people. If you want them, that's all I'm saying. I mean, at any rate,
but we went all out. It was fun. We had so much fun, and we weren't sure if people were going to get what we were doing, or if it was just, we were like, even if nobody understands it, it'll be fun for the 3 of us.
Yeah,
so we're gonna do it. And nobody else was in a costume. I should probably warn people. There wasn't a lot of people
at the 5K.
In costumes. People were just, because it's like Run Disney, I feel like costumes are part of the experience.
It's the norm.
You see more costume people than not. With the majors, even during the shakeout runs where people they're running for fun, they're just enjoying themselves. The vibe is different.
Yeah.
And so people are wearing regular running clothes, except for the 3 of us.
That's a wrap. So thank you for joining us on your long run, your commute to work, around the house, wherever you are. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe and well, and we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com patreon.com/Run, Eat, Drink podcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.